Hey everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. We are joined once again by the one and only our friend, Cary Silkin. How you doing, Cary?
Very well. Thank you for having me. I'm surprised you're not bored to death yet, but that's okay. I'm happy to be back.
Never.
I said this before. You reach a certain point in life where if anybody likes you, you're happy.
We've told you, man, we will bring you back all the time because we absolutely love you, man. We do. It's our pleasure. But Callum said, obviously, before we started recording, obviously I was listening to Last Stop Penn Station, and it completely forgot my mind that obviously Mick Foley was in Ring of Honor for about a year. What was it like working with Mick?
Well, it was great because, and once again, you could hear all the details of this, but I'll give you the quick version. If you go to the Last Stop Penn Station episode, I approached him. He was doing a book signing near my house when I had first got involved with the company. And I waited, and I was like the last person. And I'd been going to ECW Arena and for years, and I was a fan of his. Anyway, I just waited, and I told him who I was. He wouldn't know my name. Nobody would. So at that time, and I told him who I'm working with, and we're doing Ring of Honor, and he goes, "Oh, that guy," and this is pre-scandal, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, he made a ton of money off bootleg stuff, particularly those matches he did in Japan.
Yeah.
So he says, thanks, but no thanks. Well, after that guy left or went away, we approached Foley about doing a shoot interview, and we had to go through his agent, Barry Bloom, who I think is an agent of a lot of these guys. And he did the shoot interview, and I remember reading in his book that just like me, he was a big Jethro. I mean, he's a big rock music fan, right? And one of his favorite bands was Jethro Tull, so much so that he hitchhiked. He missed the show when he was living in Long Island. This is like 1984, and it was really hard to get information. Like, where's the next show? Where's the, but he knew that he knew that there was a show in Buffalo, which was like 8 hours. But after that, they were like going to the, further, so anyway, he hitchhiked all the way to Buffalo and back. And maybe he took a bus one way. I forget how it went, but that's how passionate he was. So when we did the shoot interview, and the other thing, I think you guys know this, he's real passionate about Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, guess what? We do the interview, and it was in Long Island, and lo and behold, there was a brand. It was released like a couple weeks before that. It was a Jethro Tull Christmas album. Now, so I brought it with me, and after the interview was over, I walked with him to the elevator, and I said, "Hey, thanks for doing this. Oh, by the way," and I gave it to him, and he's like, "Oh, wow." So that really, I think that was a slight bridge to getting him to come to do the live Ring of Honor. So when he came to Ring of Honor, it was not only him, but it was Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that as well. Yeah.
And I remember being in Dayton, Ohio, and Gabe coming up to me, like the two of them are sitting in the back talking. And this is the period of Joe and Punk and Nigel's just sort of coming up.
Yeah. And,
we're talking 2005-ish. But Gabe comes up to me like we're on the other side of the dressing room, which was just a curtain. And he's like, "Can you believe this?" You know, we had Steamboat and Foley, you know, but he was great. He liked working with us so much that we really couldn't afford him. You know, we paid his going rate, and it made sense for New York and for Chicago. Yeah. So by the time we got to the Dayton markets, he agreed to do them at a greatly reduced rate. And at the time, it was like, don't tell anybody, please, because he really enjoyed doing it. The other thing about him was he didn't want to do autographs for profit.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to do them for charity. So it wasn't like, oh, well, Mick, we could sell the, get back some of the money. So yeah, he was great to work with. And I became, through rock and roll and our love of rock and roll, I became friendly with him, friendly enough that we went to some shows together. We went to a tall show, but we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 2008 or 8 or 9 at the Garden with, it was a 2-nighter, but we went one night and it was me and a buddy and him and a friend. We didn't have great seats. It didn't matter. The lineup was like Crosby, Stills, Nash, then Stevie Wonder, then hold on, then Paul Simon, but Garfunkel was there also, and was all kinds of guests, and the headliner of the night, if that wasn't enough, was Springsteen.
Wow.
Yeah, and Springsteen had like Billy Joel come out, John, just all of them had a laundry list of bonus guests. Like Crosby, Stills, and Nash had James Taylor come out for one song. Jackson, it was really, really good. So I got to hang out with him, and he's a good man, you know. And the last time I saw him was it was the day of the Madison Square Garden show, because I went to the I didn't want to get there super early, so I went to the WrestleCon thing. I was staying at that hotel, so I went to the WrestleCon, and I was just going around, hanging out and saying hello, seeing Jerry Lynn, seeing this guy, seeing that guy that I was friends with. And of course, Foley had a big line, and I just walked up and pulled a chair and just like sat next to him, right? And he looks over, he goes, "Hey, Cary." And then there's also the story on the Last Stop Penn Station of when I took Adam Cole to the Garden.
Yeah.
Right. I took Adam Cole. Never been to Madison Square Garden for wrestling or anything else. And I took him, it was the Christmas week show. They always do. Not a pay-per-view, not a Raw. It was just a house show, but it's, like during Christmas and New Year's, and it would always be a big house. So I'm in the ticket business, and whatever. I was able to get front row seats. No one gave them to me, and they were expensive, but I'm like, fuck it, I'll take it. I'll take him. He's a good kid, and there was. I text Foley. I know I'm not going to go backstage or nothing. I just know it. It's like, but I just text him, and he didn't respond. And when he was there just to like say hello.
Yeah.
And I'd get in the ring. So when he came out, and we're in the front row. Well, what happened? Punk was on the show also.
Right.
And after the show was over, it was an early match. Punk came around and he gave me a little hug or a high five, and Punk must have told Foley, oh, Cary's sitting there, blah blah blah. So when Foley came out and the crowds chanting his name, it was like a Foley, right? He's got the mic, and he just sort of looks over and he just sees just like at the WrestleCon, but it's like into the mic at Madison Square Garden, and he goes, "Hey, Cary." That was the first thing. Then he had to do his promo, so that was really cool. But yeah, he was great. He was great. What a treat having him, and he loves pro wrestling, and we were at a standard that he wanted to be around, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's what I remember thinking as a fan when I remember hearing Foley was appearing. Was, well, obviously Ring of Honor had some great talent around that time, but Mick Foley coming to the shows too showed that Mick Foley trusted that company enough to appear, and it made a big difference.
Yeah, he helped us a lot, and once again, that was after that the whole problem, scandal, whatever. So it was he went from not wanting to be involved at all because of other issues, and then there's the scandal. But and it's funny, Steamboat, he was a different kind of cat, really good guy. And as far as the whole scandal thing, he was just like, it just never came. I don't know. It never came up. But those two guys, having them, regardless of the great Samoa Joe and Punk matches, or low key, and then this one and that one, and having two names like that, who I don't think there's anyone who's a wrestling fan that doesn't like those guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nobody says Ricky Steamboat sucks.
No, nobody. I don't think anybody has ever muttered those words.
Same with Flo. So yes, it absolutely. It gave us some credibility when we really, really needed it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I had to ask you. We'll move on because I know Callum's been really excited to ask you this next bit, aren't you, Callum? So I'll let you.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Were my eyes playing tricks on me, or did I see a picture of Callum as an 18, 19-year-old pretending to be a wrestler? Very nice looking young man, but a little bit silly.
Right, Cary, let me give you some backstory real quick, all right? Back when I was 16, 17, look how red I've gone, I can see it. Back when I was about 16, 17, I started wrestling training, and I trained for until I was 20 because I quit because I wasn't very good. I like to say I had a go at wrestling, but I was absolutely terrible. I'm just going to grab the picture because I feel like I need to give context for it. I didn't have a hair on my face.
And you had the CM Punk.
Oh, can you tell I was the biggest CM Punk fan, dude? Like, there it is. So my idea of being a professional wrestler was this.
Listen,
I'm wearing some bandana.
I've seen a lot worse at Ring of Honor shows. And certainly at the seminar.
Cary, I gave it a go.
That's all right. At least you tried.
My dream was to wrestle.
Yeah, it's more than I ever did. I knew not to get in the ring, and so that's the way it is.
It happened. I'm proud I did it, but also real glad that I quit because, oh Jesus, when I watch those matches back, I've never cringed so much in my life. Speaking of great wrestlers, though, Cary, Ring of Honor, over the years, we've discussed how many great talents have come in through Ring of Honor. we've spoken about a few of them previously. Nigel McGuinness, Samoa Joe. I was interested. You've seen firsthand the people who have come in and out of that business. If you had to make a Mount Rushmore of 4 people who you think are the forefathers or the 4 pillars of Ring of Honor, who would you choose?
It's super hard. I'll tell you, it would almost have to be 5, because if you left out the Briscoes,
yeah,
I think it would be a disservice.
Let's count the Briscoes too, then. Let's go.
You count the Briscoes as 1, right?
Yeah.
And then it's still a really tough. It's a really tough one. I think you got to put Bryan Danielson. For me.
Yeah.
For me, I'd put Bryan Danielson up there. I got number 3. 4 is going to be tough, but anyway, number 3, and none of these are ranked as far as they're, like, oh, the Briscoes are number 1. It's like they're all interchangeable.
They're all number 1. Yeah.
Possibly number 111. If at the risk of insulting the Briscoes, it's Jay Lethal.
Yeah. I'd agree. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was there from 2004 ish through 3-ish till 2005-ish, 6-ish, and then came back, and he's still doing it, which leaves number 4, and that's where as a problem. It's a good problem because there's so many who could be inserted in number 4. I mean, if I was put on the spot, this might be a very controversial choice, but it could almost be, I'm not giving it could almost be like a Roderick Strong or an Adam Cole, because Roddy had a long career, he'd be deserving to be right up there.
He's a name that I guess sometimes I think people forget just how much of an impact he had in Ring of Honor.
Absolutely. You think of Nigel, you think of a guy like Aries or a low key type, or Punk. It's rough. It's rough. I mean, who's do you agree with the first 3, or am I, you can say no?
That's pretty much, well, I'll tell you what mine would be, and then which ones line up. If I was to choose 4, I'd go with Bryan Danielson. I don't think you can leave out CM Punk, Samoa Joe, and number 4, Jay Lethal.
So you'd leave the Briscoes out?
I'd leave the Briscoes out, but if there was a tag team Mount Rushmore, they're number 1.
All right.
Mine's a little more, I guess maybe controversial too, but I don't. Well, you can't. I just can't imagine leaving CM Punk.
Well, you know what it is? It's like you're going with euphoric recall from your
That's it. That's absolutely it. You saw that picture of me, Cary. How could I not include CM Punk?
Right. Jamie, who do you got?
Oh, it's my turn. I'm kind of with you, Cary. I think that the Briscoes definitely. Bryan Danielson. I would go Jay Lethal, and it's that 4th one, isn't it? It's this Punk, this Joe. Roderick Strong, like you as well. I mean,
right. I mean,
I'm going to say Roderick Strong. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say Roderick Strong. I think yours is pretty accurate.
he's underrated. Like I think this happened in our previous conversations we've had, that when I do these interviews or I do talk about the old Ring of Honor, I don't often leave him out as if he didn't exist. The guy was so, and still is, in NXT, so consistent and so good for so long. He just, you know, he didn't have the most, I don't want to say anything, you know, he didn't have like the most dynamic personality, you know, but as far as wrestling, amazing. So that's, I think we've got those are some good candidates for Mount Rushmore.
I think it'd be interesting to see what people think about our list, because they're quite similar but quite different too. I think you're right in choosing Roderick Strong as well, because like you said, he didn't always have the most dynamic personality. Maybe that's why people leave him off, but he was always one of the best in the ring. And I feel like him turning heel in NXT.
What year did he leave Ring of Honor? Forget.
Leave Ring of Honor, was it 2014?
14?
Yeah, I think it was about 2014.
He had like, you know, like an 11-year career.
Yeah. I'm with you, Cary. Yeah, I think mine's pretty much the same as yours. I mean, I wouldn't have probably thought Roderick Strong until you mentioned him. Then I thought, absolutely, yeah. I mean, he had one hell of a run in Ring of Honor.
It's not even just Ring of Honor either. Ring of Honor, he's done NXT, PWG, but then even in Impact, the first ever televised episode of Impact, the first match on there was AJ Styles versus Roderick Strong. He's been everywhere, and he's like,
there's another name,
you know, really historic notes, but
there's another name, you know, AJ Styles. And you know, you start thinking, it's like then I'm like, you know, wait a minute, you know, I got the Briscoe, you know, you could almost throw the Bucks, you know. They've had so it's a real good question. It's a real good question.
It's a hard question. I think it's harder with Ring of Honor than most companies.
Right.
Like I find it easier to do a WWE Mount Rushmore, and when it comes to Ring of Honor, it's almost impossible without feeling like you're disrespecting half the roster.
Who's the WWE Mount Rushmore?
For me, oh God, it's Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and Hulk Hogan.
Okay, those are good choices.
I would Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, and for me, I've got to go with Andre. Andre's got to be on there.
Yeah, the only problem is you can't do it without leaving Bruno Sammartino off.
Yeah,
Bruno, look, that's it. This is what I mean. It's such a difficult question.
So hard.
I mean, right. I know I'm old, whatever. But Bruno, think of it, you know, not one, you know, having an 8-year title run and then a 3-year title run. You know, selling that number they used about him selling out the Garden 100, and it's not the right number, but whatever. He did very good business all over the world. And yeah, Andre, shit. I agree with you got to put Hogan. You got it.
Yeah.
I'm not even a Hogan fan. I don't like
I'm not either.
I never have done, but
because of his impact.
Yeah.
And Stone Cold, yeah, and Rock, yeah, they're all tough. But you gotta. I'm sorry, old or not, you gotta have Bruno because he was the foundation of the whole thing.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't even have Hogan if it wasn't for Bruno, and then you might not have had Stone Cold and The Rock without Hogan. You definitely have John Cena without Stone Cold. It just keeps going on, doesn't it?
Yeah. And now they don't want to have any more big stars. Not to say that Seth Rollins is not a big star. He's a big, but I believe WWE, they don't want any more John Cena's.
Yeah,
They don't want
agree.
any more even Batistas. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I get you completely.
Absolutely.
Like we said,
they don't want someone who's like becomes bigger than the game.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not talking about Triple H.
They don't want anyone to be bigger than the business itself.
Right.
Like back in the Attitude Era, you had maybe 5 guys who would be in and out of the main event scene, but they'd all be big stars, like your Rock, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, all big names. But I feel like now they always put the stock into one person, and they kind of limit how far they'll go. So I don't feel like anyone ever breaks out of a certain level anymore.
No. It's just different. So I'm looking forward to. Have you guys been watching any of the current Ring of Honor product?
We have, yeah. We watch it every week. Now we can watch it on Fight TV.
I mean, call me a shill. Call me of course Cary's gonna. It's the best wrestling as far as.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I watched AEW last night. Pretty good show. Very much better than the week before.
Yeah.
Did you see that the week before?
I did.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for that little kid.
Yeah.
Brody Lee's son. And I don't think they were really trying to exploit that's they're not that, and I talked to and I haven't spoken to anybody, but that was whatever. The whole thing was just and last night they did a good show last night. I saw some good matches. Whatever the opening match was, which I can't remember, was very good. And there was some good wrestling on the show. And and WWE, even though I'm in contact with Seth Rollins because he's an American football fan, so we'll ask who do you think's going to win this and that, and friends with these other guys, I have trouble watching it. In other words, I really don't watch it.
Yeah.
You?
Same.
Sometimes I find myself watching NXT the least out of everything, even though I used to be the biggest NXT fan there was.
That's probably the best that they have, though.
Yeah, I know. That's the point. That's the best show they've got. And I'm completely disinterested at the moment. All
right. Well, anyway, so Ring of Honor, the problem is we're not on live. The problem is it's only an hour. But the good news is it's the best for my taste, and I think for your guys' taste. People like us, it makes you believe that it makes you think. Let me try to get this out. It makes me say to myself, there's hope for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
This is the kind of pro wrestling that I really enjoyed. Sure, you're gonna have your whatever pro wrestling stereotype stuff, but overall, the way it's being presented is the best thing out there right now. That's it.
I totally agree. I've said this to Callum before. It's the best pro wrestling show around at the moment. I actually love it. It's got everything. He said it's got the in-ring wrestling. You've got the pure wrestling, but then you've also got things like the Righteous, like Danhausen. It's got everything, and it's
no dream interview.
It's the best for me. It's just I'm totally with you, Cary. But we've got about 5 or 6 minutes left, so I wanted to ask you one last thing. It's the anniversary of his death this week. So I was just wondering, did you ever get to see Andre live? I'm presuming you did.
Oh yeah. Hold that thought for a second, because right before that, there's a reason. We're talking about the Ring of Honor and comparing other companies. Real quick, Dutch Mantel used to say to me, this is back to Puerto Rico again. He says, Cary, if you're driving down the road with your friend and you see two guys on the side of the road and they're having a fist fight, what do you say? You know, and I'm like, and he answered, he goes, you say, why are they fighting? That's what you want to know. So I think Ring of Honor also, you were running down the variety of guys, but they're also explained. There's been very good explanations, and it's done by the other companies. I'm not saying it's the only, but I think there's just been more concentrated explanations on why are they fighting.
That's a really good analogy.
It is.
It's
now, Andre. Yes. So when I was going to the Garden I went to most of this after my dad took me to that first show. When they had that 14-year-old thing, I would go with my cousin Mike G, who he was like 5 years older, the guy that's doing my book. So we would go. So I had to have been there. The first time Andre came in, had to. I can't pinpoint it, but I went to the Garden in the 70s, 73, 74, 75, 76, pretty much all those shows up to until I was doing too much cocaine and Superstar Graham was around and I get distracted. But so I mean, what do you want to ask me about him?
Just what it was like seeing him. Obviously, it was the anniversary of his death.
I got a good one. I got a good one. I mean, the guy, it was incredible, right? But one night, and it's on the last stop Penn Station. You guys heard one of the other ticket scalpers says, "Oh, Tony Atlas was looking for some coke." I'm like, all right. So we went up to the where they used to stay. There was like a cheap, the lowest version of a Hilton. On 48th Street and 8th Avenue, which wasn't a good area at the time. Anyway, so we went there to try to do this little deal with Tony Atlas through my friend, who allegedly knew him. And anyway, so I'm waiting in the bar. This is after the show, and Andre's at the bar. This is like,
right
now, how do you not go up to him? So I went and I tapped him on the shoulder, and I just said, hey, I've been watching you for years, thanks, blah, blah, whatever I said. And he just looked at me like nothing. He didn't say hello, goodbye, fuck you.
He just stared at you.
He stared at me briefly and then turned back to his drink. So
wow.
He was so huge, like
that's it. Yeah.
He was drinking a like a rum and coke, and so it's not this size thing, but like this size glass, and it's you didn't even see the glass, but wow. he was, as far as a wrestler, they always had him in tag team matches, like him and Chief Jay Strongbow against so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I can see that Callum's getting hot and bothered because we're running out of time.
I'm watching the time, but I think we're good. We've got about a minute.
So yeah, no, it was. I'm lucky to have seen Andre, right?
Definitely.
You've got Andre. That's amazing. I mean, I would have loved to have seen Andre. I really would. So I'm very envious of that one. But I know Callum said we've got a minute to go, so I'll stop us there. But obviously, I'll drop you a DM. We'll get you back in a couple of weeks, and we'll do some more. But for now, everyone check out Last Stop Penn Station. He is Cary Silkin. We are Ringsiders. Thank you.